welcome to another Ultimate Fighter episode review. This is for Season 29, Episode 5, titled Hard-Headed, and it's the fight between Kemran, Lachinov and Bryan Battle, Lachinov representing Team Ortega, and Battle representing Team Volkov. So, Volkanoski. I keep saying Volkov, it's a different Alexander. So, yeah, basically I'm going to try and break down the bits I have written as notes, and I'm going to tell you what I thought of the episode at the end, so, yeah. Let's go. So we saw the fallout of what happened after the end of the last fight with Vincent Murdoch having knocked out Dustin Lampros. So Mitch Raposo, who was the #1 pick for Team Volkanovski, who also lost his fight, he was not best pleased, and he started taking it up because at the end of the last episode, obviously after the end of the fight, Team Ortega and one of his coaches started talking a bit of shit. And some of Team Volkanovski's people started talking back, and there was that whole thing. And in this episode, Mitch Raposo is royally pissed, so he goes up to Andrei Petrovsky, who is the top middleweight pick of Team Ortega, and starts fucking having a go at him. And those two start having like some back and forth between them. So yeah, I don't know. I think Mitch is just a bit salty because he was the #1 pick and he got his ass handed to him. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. Yeah, it's just, I don't mind drama in the Ultimate Fighter, but I do mind it when someone's just pissed off that things aren't going their way. Like, oh, we're 4-0, we're gonna start. No, don't be that guy, Mitch. God's sake, you know. I get that he was defending his coach, and Andre was doing the same as well. But at least Andre was like trying to explain more of a point, whereas Mitch just sounded salty. So. Yeah, we're going to move on from this, but I want to bring it up because it is something that does piss me off about the series, about the show in general, and hasn't gone away. Next up, we are going to cover the prep for both fighters before moving on to something not really to do with either of them. So, we find out Bryan Battle was... I don't know if he was born in Charlotte, North Carolina, but he works there as a carpenter. He has a girlfriend and he has a baby on the way at some point, and during his prep, we see him like working a lot on the stand-up, especially because Kemran, as we find out in the fight, is a bit of a mad bastard, but we'll get to that. So, yeah, Bryan is studying really well on the wrestling, especially his takedown defense, and he just comes off as a really likable sort of dude. He sort of has like a Forrest Griffin-esque delivery to a lot of the things he says that makes him just naturally funny without him even trying to be funny. He just comes off as a really nice, likeable bloke. He's gotten a good record. He's about 4 years younger than Kemran is. And, yeah, he's got a lot going for him. As for Kemran, he was born in Turkey, moved to Russia when he was 6, and has been fighting out of West Springfield, Massachusetts for a while now. He has a wife and a 9-month-old son named Aslan, and Aslan is adorable. Not just the line, like, what is it with all these fighters just having like adorable wee babbas, you know? He's only 9 months old, but it's like, aw, you just want to cuddle him. But yeah. And the reason I'm bringing up the Kemran thing as well is because sort of before that, Team Ortega goes to the Ultimate Fighter house, and Ortega challenges Ryder Newman of Team Volkanovski to a foosball game, and Ortega wins clean as a sheet, actually. And then, sort of like the morning after that, Kemran cooks up some, like, Turkish cuisine to share with, what's his bloody name? Ludwig Shalinian, because they're both sort of like, I believe they're both Muslim. I don't remember if Ludwig said he was, but Kemran points out that he is, and yeah, they, you know, it's a shame we don't get to see the conversation because it goes into Kemran's video package and his background, but I did like that moment and I wanted to bring it up. And as for Kemran's training, very focused heavily on the wrestling, a lot in his hands as well, because he's got really good striking. And the dude can, he can swing hard, like he's got really good kicks too, and his focus is all on the wrestling though, which is sort of one of his better things. And then we get to the fight itself. Both fighters passed the weigh-in test. There wasn't any worries like there was in the last episode. Kemran came in 186, Bryan came in 185. And Bryan is the slightly taller opponent. He's got more reach. He's a few years younger, but he's got less experience. He's got about half as many fights as Kemran does. And that's sort of about when we get into the fight actual. So, Kemran is doing a lot of pressuring on Bryan, but Bryan, even though he's walking backwards, he's landing a lot of strikes to Kemran, landing a lot of leg kicks, going for the teep quite well, landing some really good counter lefts too. Kemran is landing some good shots when he can. He's going to the body a lot. He's not following that up though, and that is sort of something that goes against him for the fight. So, but he does go for a lot of takedowns. But Bryan, which in a plot twist I was not expecting, defended all of them in round one. He was super good. Like, he was just there all day. He kept hold of the whizzer. He, like, for most of them he was against the cage, which usually makes it easier for the more wrestling guy to go for the takedown. But there was one where he wasn't against the cage. He just kept walking back with it and like just held on and didn't let it go. It was really good of him. And there was a moment where he was caught with the takedown against the cage, and he turned it around and landed a really good knee on Kemran before breaking. And Kemran sort of went into like Chris Lieben zombie mode, just like putting his hands down, saying, "Go on, hit me." And Bryan blasted him with a lot of punches and a head kick. And then Kemran went for another takedown, didn't land it. He thought he could catch him off guard with the old "aha, punch me in the face as hard as you can" plan. It didn't work, but he still came on quite strong. And round one was difficult to call because Kemran was landing some really good shots, but Bryan was there a lot more. His technique looked a lot more fluid. He had way better footwork. He was moving out of the way, landing really good counters. The leg kicks, the body kicks were there, the teep kicks were there. I give round one to Bryan personally. I think he just did a lot more. I definitely think he did a lot more to frustrate Kemran because, yeah, he was just there a bit more. Like, his counters were a lot better. He was getting hit quite hard, but wasn't in any serious danger. And again, the takedown defense was absolutely fantastic from him. So yeah, we're going to move on to round two now. And round two is more or less the same story as round one. Kemran is really doing a lot of pressuring. He's pushing Bryan. He's going for a lot of overhand rights, and he's putting way too much in them. And there's a point where he stumbles in the round. He is still going for takedowns, but Bryan again just countering. The leg kicks are weakening Kemran's takedowns. But Kemran does get one in round two though, which I find a bit odd because I thought he was a bit slower. But he was definitely looking more tired when they went into round two. And he did get one takedown, didn't last long. Bryan was almost immediately back up, so it was sort of a non-factor, really. Bryan was countering a lot. Again, with the clinch knees, those were there for him a lot in this fight. The clinch boxing was really good for him. The dirty boxing was really good. There was a moment with 2 minutes and 10 seconds left of round two, though, where he went for a knee and accidentally hit Kemran in the nuts. It was a complete accident. He did go for the body, but it accidentally went a bit low. Kemran didn't take a lot of time to recover. And honestly, I feel like he's not the kind of guy to take a DQ win, so he just kept pressuring forward and did a bit more zombie walking, but Bryan kept landing, kept outstriking him, kept moving out of the way. There was a moment near the end of the round as well. Oh, there was a moment near the end of round one I forgot to mention where Kemran came off of a failed takedown to try and go for a leg lock, and they were both locked in a half and half position, and Bryan kept blasting him with punches. Forgot to mention that. Yeah, but at the end of round two, though, Kemran goes for a big overhand, misses, sort of stumbles, and lands on his back. And Bryan sort of mounts up on him, starts opening up for some really good strikes. Kemran does eventually try and get back to his... he does try and go for a leg lock, actually. He isn't able to get it because Bryan just rolls through with it really clean, keeps his leg straight for the most part. And Kemran does go for a takedown, Bryan holds it and manages to sort of escape from the clinch in a way as the round and the fight ends, and round two goes to Bryan, and everyone else thought so because he wins by unanimous decision and he gives Team Volkanoski their first win of the season. So it's 4-1 to the better team. So I thought this fight was quite exciting actually. It was probably my favourite of the season, not just because it went the full 10 minutes, but because like it was very exciting back and forth. And Kemran being a bit of a mad bugger and just like walking in, getting hit a lot, like it was just kind of cool. I like seeing it when a fighter is badass, but Bryan's technique definitely won. Like his takedown to defense was on point. A lot of his defense was on point. Even though Kemran was defending some of the kicks quite well, it wasn't enough. Like he kept eating the teep, kept eating the head kicks especially. Was being hit in the face quite a lot. Yeah, as you would expect in a fight. And Kemran has a lot of heart, but it wasn't enough to win in this fight. And it does snap the winning streak of Team Ortega, but they're not bothered by it. Like, you know, they're actually seem quite cordial about it, even when they announced the next fight for the next episode, which is Ricky Tercios of Team Volkanoski versus number one pick for Team Ortega in terms of bantamweights, Daniel Argueta. I'm looking forward to that one. That's going to be good. So all in all, this was a really good, really fun episode. Probably my favourite fight of the season so far, and we still got a lot of them to go. About 9-ish? About 8 or 9 left. No, it's 8, yeah, because this is the fifth fight. 8. Maybe it's not 8 more episodes. It could be 7, because they've done 2 fights in an episode before. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened with this season at some point. Considering the talent on hand, like, a lot of these guys are really good. But that's neither here nor there. Next thing you'll see me for will be probably another episode of Music of the Week tomorrow. Next immediate thing, Over the Top 3, tonight. You better be there because it's the Over the Top Rumble. We're going to decide the main event for Defy the Gods 3. I can't wait for that. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be an absolutely phenomenal night of eFed Wrestling, and I hope to see you all there. That's really all else I've got to say. No Fight the Night plans because there's no UFC card this weekend, so woo! And that'll about do it, as always. Thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye-bye.